Chris, and on this channel I offer tips, guidance and new perspectives on anxiety and OCD based on my own recovery. So today I want to talk about courage and how we can be more courageous in life, whether this is to resist an OCD compulsion, to gain knowledge and live in new ways where anxiety and OCD struggle to exist, or if it's to take on life's challenges and live a more fulfilling life, whether that be through starting new relationships, ending a job and starting a new career, or building a business, the big things in life. So, first of all, to be more courageous, we need a desire. We need a goal that we're working towards. It's become quite evident to me that anxious people tend to know what they don't want from life, but they don't know what they do want from life. People say that they don't want to be anxious, but that doesn't mean anything to the brain. That's a negative statement, and all the brain hears is anxious. Imagine you went to the train station and you walked up to the ticket master and said, I don't want to go to London. And what would he do? He'd look at you and think, right, okay, then, well, when you do know where you want to go, come back and we'll move you and we'll give you a ticket for that train. Now, this is how the brain works. It needs to know a direction to move in. If it doesn't, it will just focus on those old negative anxiety and OCD thoughts, which are stopping you from living life rather than talking you into living life. People say that they don't have motivation to do anything, but I don't see motivation as a real thing. Motivation is just a word. If we live through desire, what we really want desire to do, that will trump any need for motivation. If we've got a passion in life, that will drive us forward. So the first thing is we need to realize what we want from life. Now, this, when we've got this plan in place, this will normally bring up some unwanted feelings, doubts, fears, and the need to get out of our safety zone, our comfort zone, obviously brings on the fear of not being safe. Now, I feel that in our society, we have been programmed to see safety as the highest priority above everything else. But if this is a priority, we are going to live lives that are very underwhelming. If we're constantly looking for safety and reassurance, we're not going to build the life that we want. So we need to realize that going after what we want should be the main object of life, and safety could then be a secondary concern. I would say move towards what you want in life with passion, but also with caution. Rather than fear, we don't need to emotionalize it. We don't need to worry about being overly safe. As long as there's a degree of caution, we can make sure that things go to plan, we get what we want, and we don't experience any unnecessary danger in the process. So, what is the difference between an anxious person and a courageous person? To me, it's only the story that we tell ourselves inside of our head. And people seem to think that this courageous person was just born that way, and lucky them that they can go after what they want, and unlucky us if we can't do the same thing. If we are stuck in fear and doubt instead of courage and confidence. Now, is it really something that's natural to us? Or is it that it's a skill that can be learned? I see the only difference is between these two people is the story that we tell ourselves in our own head. So, for instance, if two people are about to give a speech and one of them is anxious, one of them is courageous, they have the same emotions inside their body, but it's just a different story they're telling themselves. One is telling us that they're scared, they think about all the things that could go wrong, they're worried about making a fool of themselves, care what people think of them, and imagining all the things that go wrong during the speech. The other one, the confident one, is imagining all the things that could go right in the speech. They are imagining the speech going well. They are imagining the audience being very receptive to what they're saying. And instead of being fearful, they're excited. These are the same emotions, fear and excitement, but one has a story which will hold you back from life, and one has a story which will push you forward in life. They both release adrenaline and cortisone, but it's all about the story which we tell ourselves. The confident person is self validating. They don't worry if people don't like their speech because they've built an internal dialogue inside their own head which is self validating. They're always nice to themselves, they don't beat themselves up, and they realize that they're going to move towards life because that's what they want. They're not going to shy away from life because they realize that to get anywhere in life, to be fulfilled, you have to take risks. Now, the definition of courage to me is vulnerability plus action, regardless of the outcome. Now, if you make it your intention to move towards what you want from life with and ignore the story in your head, the thoughts and the feelings which are trying to talk you out of life, your life will change rapidly. I can attest to this in my own life. Thoughts and feelings don't mean anything. They don't mean that you're going to fail. They don't mean that things are going to go wrong. This is just programming from our childhood, which is playing out in our heads. Our brain lives in darkness. It can't see outside of our head. It lives inside our skull. Our brain is inside of our skull. And all it does is take messages from our sensory inputs and then processes this information and gives us a good feeling or a bad feeling to either move towards what we want or stay away from danger. But it's our interpretation of these inputs which are important. If you can start tricking your mind into thinking that nothing scary is happening outside and that all is well by talking in a calm, happy, positive dialogue where you're being nice to yourself all the time, your mind will believe that everything is okay outside, and it will let go of the fear and the resistance and the scary stories, and you can start using your mind to work for you rather than against you. Einstein famously said that the mind is an excellent servant, but a very poor master. So if you're letting your mind control your thoughts and your behaviors, you are a slave to it. But if you can rise above that, see the mind for what it is, and learn to reprogram it for more courage and more confidence, it can be an excellent servant for you if used creatively towards the goals that you want to achieve. And this is the best form of exposure and response prevention therapy. It's not working on the individual anxiety and OCD fears, which will change your life. It's moving towards the life that you want and ignoring those emotions, calming yourself down quickly, and going after what you want for life. Because I'm sure you're aware that when you focus on the ERP, on the actual symptoms, the OCD and the anxiety, once you've overcome one symptom, one thought pattern, one compulsion, it'll quickly move you on to the next one. But if you move towards a life that you want, if you take action regardless of the outcome, you'll be forced to become a new person who will naturally incorporate all of these techniques which would have been developed by symptom management, but it will move you towards what you want, and it will make you a person who's easily able to handle these issues. And the more we live life, the easier it gets. Every time you do something, it becomes easier. The first time is very hard. The second time you think, okay, this is difficult, but I can do it. The third time it becomes a lot easier. And then after that, it's hardly scary at all. So that is the way to become more courageous, is to have a plan for your life, move towards it regardless of the outcome. Ignore the thoughts and feelings in your mind because they do not know the reality of a situation. It cannot predict the future, and you need to reality test things by taking action and then giving your mind real world feedback that it can incorporate into your mind, into your brain, and then have more appropriate knowledge for use in the future. So, thank you very much for watching.